Shitey Quaddy here. As I mentioned before, I'm going to add an ATV Quad to my channel. Probably do more than just this one ATV Quad. I'll probably get some more. But the main purpose of these quads is simply because I do fly what's called FPV quadcopter flying. That is those goggles that you see, and I fly these drones around. Now this is a long-range drone. What I do is I'll drive out to a certain spot. I'll fly this drone anywhere from 2 to 3 miles. And so far, knock on wood, everything's been good where I don't have to, I haven't had a crash and I haven't had to retrieve it. But I've had crashes previously with other drones and they've been stuck in areas where I wish I had something like this to retrieve it because my car couldn't get in that location and walking would, just took a long time. So this little guy is in addition to what I do to my hobby, which is FPV flying and now ATV quads. Sometimes it takes a quad to get a quad. This is a Chinese brand quad, and they do get a lot of guff because they're not Japanese or they're not top brand names, and they're hella cheap. And that's the selling point for me that I like, is because for what I do, it serves a purpose. It's hella cheap. It does what I need to do. I'm not going to race with this thing, and I'm 5'3", 180 pounds. This is a Tao Toa Cheetah 125cc, designed for use kids, but when you take off the governor, it can go up to speeds of, well, they say 25 miles an hour, but you'll see from the videos that I'll post after this, I was able to get anywhere from, depending on the location, anywhere from up to 29 miles an hour to 37.58 miles an hour in the dirt, not in my road. It can carry a heavy load. Like I said, I'm a heavy guy. And the idea is I can put my backpacks in the back of this quad. I can also drive out to a location with just this and my chair and put it in the back and kick back and fly for a few miles and then drive back to my car. But getting back to what people say about these quads, they get a bad name because they're Chinese quads, they're cheap. Well, that's what I like about it. The parts are super cheap, and if you're anything into, like when you're in this hobby, quadcopters, we build these things from the ground up, basically. So building, tinkering is something I love to do. And the advantage of a Chinese quad is that they are so inexpensive in comparison to, say, a Honda or a Japanese quad. You're looking at thousands of dollars, where in this one, I paid, what, $1,048 for a 250cc quad. And I can mod it out any way I want, which is exactly what I did. I watched the guy's videos, Mountain Life, and I took his advice before even wasting my time fudging around and having difficulty. So I went ahead, when I got the quad in, first things I automatically changed, because the things you're going to want to change. The suspension is really an important thing, so I went ahead and I got these RFY shocks in the front, and I also have, you can't see it right here, but I do have some budget 2-inch spacers, wheel spacers, which significantly helps the ride of this quad when I'm going around turns. Before, when I was going around turns, I felt like I was going to tip over, but when you have the spacers out just a little bit, they're 2 inches, so an additional 4 inches makes a huge difference. You wouldn't think so, but driving it without it and driving it with it, there's a few times today where I thought that I could have fallen over, but I had complete stability in my rear tires, so I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to worry about falling over, bottom line. You're gonna want spacers for these. And I also changed the carburetor, because the carburetor that comes with these things are non-adjustable. I don't know if it's because I live in California, so we're supposedly only able to get these CARB compliant ATVs, so I think part of that was the stock carburetor that they put on was not adjustable. So if you have a problem with it, you can't adjust the fuel intake, which is not good. So I went ahead and changed that right away, only because taking this apart, it's going to have fuel in it. You don't want to work with the fuel already in your carburetor. Why not? If you just get one of these things from scratch, you might as well go ahead and just change the carburetor right away. The carburetor was $15. The shocks were $63. The spacers were $55. I didn't go to YGoStock.com, which is a great company. I just found these off. Everything I got was basically on Amazon, and it works for what I need. So everything on this quad that you're going to want to upgrade, you will be able to get this on Amazon. And if you do have an expensive quad, you got to think of a couple things. The parts are not going to be cheap, and when you want to replace something, you're going to be like, oh, well, I can do that one thing, but maybe I have to wait for my next paycheck or a few paychecks to do the next thing. So skip all that. Didn't want to do that. I wanted to go ahead and make the upgrades right away, and it's very affordable to do so. So what else? Oh, other problem that came with this quad, you see this, This was actually on the original carburetor, and it's weird because if you see this line, it actually mounts to this area, goes to these fins, and it goes right down into this little holder. Well, guess what? When this SUV ATV gets hot, it completely melts this thing, and this is the end result. This is what it looks like if you have, well, the way that they had it mounted. So they had it right on top of the manifold, and boom, just freaking melted the whole thing. And this is where the gas comes out, right? So gas blowover. So this is something that you definitely want to make sure that you keep in a higher area. So what I did was these crates came, the crate that this came with had some wire, so I kind of lifted this wire up, this hose up, so that it doesn't touch the manifold anymore and it doesn't melt. Also changed the spark plug right away to an NGK spark plug. And oh yeah, and when you get these things, make sure you go around with a wrench over all the bolts, because almost, I would say about 40% of the bolts that came on this thing were like hand tightens. Like they didn't even care. They just tightened them with their fingers, put them on, boom. And I had some pretty rocky first rides with that until I got home and I tightened everything up, put Loctite up on it, and it's all good to go. Yeah, this isn't going to be an out-of-the-box solution. If you're looking for an out-of-the-box solution, then save your pennies or save your dollars and get a Japanese quad, you know. But if you want something that, if you're a tinkerer, if you like to mod things out, and you know, these bikes are really inexpensive. So if you take the money that you could save and get a Japanese quad, you can go into all the tinkering that you want to do with this thing and make it into something that is tantamount to one of those more expensive quads. And to be honest, in my opinion, I don't own a Japanese quad. I feel as a newbie to this part of the hobby that you'll get the same amount of utility as in fun that you would riding one of these as you would going down with a more expensive, or riding a more expensive quad. And there's a lot of safety features in this thing, especially I like the reverse on this, because there were a few times today I was on a hill and I was looking straight down, I'm like, oh man, there's no way I'm gonna make that. And I was able to hit the reverse, and there's more torque on the reverse than there is going forward, and this sucker just got me right back up the hill going reverse. So pretty happy with that. But all in all, I mean, despite the minor negatives about these Chinese quads, I think that they're a go if you really just want to get in with something on a tight budget. You don't mind tinkering, because you're going to have to put a wrench through this whole thing. Oh yeah, I also changed the handlebars too, which also helped with the steering. So it was a great move too. And the handlebars were like 40 bucks. So I would say all these little things are really inexpensive. Even though the quad cost me $1,048, still less than $2,000 for a really decent quad, in my opinion. So, and it will also help with retrieving my FPV drones in the likelihood that they would go down. That's what I got for now. Oh, and another reason I got this, that's what I got for now, but another reason I got this because of the size. Even if I went to 150, this fits in the back of my SUV here. So if I turn that around, you can see my SUV. I have some ramps that I got from Harbor Freight. I just put them down and I can just roll that sucker right up into the inside of my SUV, and it fits within the inch. All right, guys, that's what I got for now. I'll show you some footage of it going 37 miles an hour and footage of it going 29 miles an hour up hills with a fat boy on it that weighs 180 pounds. You be the judge if this is would serve your needs. I live in California, so we have a lot of hills. So stay tuned.